What's up? This is Joe from the Buckeye Cast bringing you press conferences. Ryan Day's press conference after the game from last night, yesterday, whatever. Starting off, we have Ryan Day, then CJ Stroud, then Jim Knowles, then we have Emeka Egbuka, Tommy Eichenberg, and Zach Harrison. Here is Coach Day.
Okay, we will open up the floor for questions for Coach. Right here over to the right, Austin Ward, Rivals 97.1.
Ryan, I know it's a four-quarter game, so you do get credit for figuring out Iowa later on, but what did you think about the offensive execution there for, quarter and a half, 2 quarters, especially in the red zone?
Yeah, interesting game when you start off with so many balls and plus territory there. You look at the end of the game, where the score could even been different, but Iowa does a very, very good job up front, and they take away so many things in the middle and force you to really, throw the ball. And, we didn't do as good of a job executing, running the ball early on, but we knew that it was going to take time to crack. It's just the way they are. And so I thought we played really, good football there in the second half, got a good balance going a little bit. But I mean, that kind of goes back to what we're talking about, is when someone's going to stop one thing, you got to be able to do the other. And I would have liked to definitely execute it better on offense early in the game. But I think the story is about the defense and how well they played. But good to finally pull away there in the second half.
Over to the left, Stephen Means, Cleveland.com.
Ryan, it looked like Jackson tweaked something there, and then we didn't see him come back in the game. Just any update you have on his
Yeah, he was on a pitch count today, and then once he got to a certain number there, we decided to shut him down.
Over here to the right, Dylan Davis, Delaware the Gazette.
For an offense that's been humming along like it has, is there something to be said for winning a game like this where you just kind of had to grind and keep at it, and finally things start opening up? Is there?
That's it. I mean, that's I guess not what we're used to here, but that's the reality of it. And certainly the fact that there was 56 points on the board, a big part of that was the defense today. But when you're playing against a really good defense, a top 10 defense, it's not just going to happen all at once. It's not going to be fireworks every series, but I give Noah credit. We were able to put points on the board and keep that momentum going. And we felt like our defense was playing well. And we felt like if we had scored, a few of those touchdowns down there in the red zone, it would have been a different first half. But that's okay. A lot to learn from there and grow.
Over to the left, Dan Hope, 11 Warriors.
Yeah, Ryan, it seemed like Zach Harrison came out with a lot of energy today. Is that something you noticed too? And just what do you make of the way that he played today?
Yeah, I think he was one of a few guys who played with that type of energy. I thought Zach's playing some of his best football right now. And our defensive line, they're playing with an edge. I think you can feel it out there. You can see how fast they're playing. But Zach has really come along. He's practiced really well. I thought his leadership's been good. And I think you guys would agree he's probably playing his best football right now.
Over to the right, Bill Landis, Rivals.
Ryan, you guys had to burn a couple timeouts down in the short red area on offense. Just in those moments, what's happening? Like, what are you seeing? And then when you're on the sideline talking it out, what are those conversations like? And what did you think of the execution coming out of those moments?
Well, I get frustrated with myself first because, there's just so many scenarios you try to go through down there. And we had a bunch of at-bats down there. And it's hard. They do an excellent job in the red zone. Historically, they've done a great job. And, you try to get exactly the right call based on the hash, based on where it is. And certainly in the first half, I think sometimes those timeouts are a little overrated because, typically you don't need them as much as you do in the second half. So when you're down in the red zone, if you have the right play, good. If you don't, I think historically we've decided to take timeouts if we didn't feel like we didn't have a really good look there. One in particular, we had a good play up. It wasn't the look we expected. There was a guy coming off the edge, and we knew we had a bad play called, so we got out of it. Another time, we just wanted to think about it a little bit more. Another time, Jackson, I think the ball was on the ground maybe, and there was a pile up on the ground. And, they rewound the clock at 25, but it went really fast. And so by the time they got it, we looked up, it was like at 12 seconds. And I just didn't feel like at that time we wanted to run a play that wasn't a good play. And, my fault. But I always, in those moments, I know how important those moments are. We know how important those moments are. We always want to get them, on the right call. We work so hard for that, and so mostly I just get frustrated with myself.
Over to the left, Bill Rabinowitz, Columbus Dispatch.
Ryan, by his standards, CJ had a so-so first half, and he throws the pick on the first play of the second half. Then he got it together. I think it was 8 straight completions, 4 touchdowns. What clicked for him in the second half?
I think we just had to get into a rhythm on offense, and when you game plan, you pretty much start your mindset on the minus 25, somewhere in there. And then you have plays that you work, and then you kind of get yourself into the red zone. And it was weird because we were kind of in plus territory all day early on. It just never got into a rhythm of just kind of throwing things, and because the field was getting a little compressed. And I think you saw when we had to move the ball down the field, we were a little bit better, and he got into a rhythm that way. That's probably the only way I could describe why that was. But, yeah, I mean, they're very, very good. They get their hands on balls. We had the one sack fumble early on, but we overcame it, and we kept pushing through. And we know that when we're playing against good defenses, things like that happen. But we can't continue to let those things happen. We got to learn from them and grow. But I think it was healthy for us to get a good challenge today.
Over to the right, Spencer Holbrook, Letterman Row.
Ryan, the Iowa offense is what it is, but is there something to be said for your defense to be able to do what good defenses do against an offense like this?
Yeah. I mean, started right from the get-go, and I thought we were aggressive. I thought Jim called a great game, but the guys played well. They ran to the ball, created turnovers, played hard, played physical, and didn't let up the whole game. And I think we had 6 turnovers and at least a couple fourth down stops. So, when we can play like that, it's great. So got to learn what we did well and figure out what we need to improve on. And we know we got a big challenge next week going to State College.
Fourth row, middle in the left, Rob Aller, Columbus Dispatch.
Ryan, back to Zach for a minute. Here's a kid who's a local kid. He comes in, a lot of pressure, playing in the shadow of the Bosas, Chase. Is this just one of these situations you always talk about? Everyone has their own journey. How proud are you of him to get through that, fight through that?
Well, very. It started with recruiting. Zach was one of the first recruits, for me and Larry. We went into the home, and I'll tell a quick funny story about that. Wasn't sure how it was going to go in recruiting. I just been named the head coach, and Larry and I went into the home, and Tracy and the family were there, and went through the home visit, and I gave him a Buckeye at the end, and I said, "This is a Buckeye. I want you to have this." And he says, looks at me, he says, "Buckeyes are poisonous, coach." I said, I walked out. I said, "Larry, we ain't getting Zach." And about a week later, Larry comes in. I remember where I was because it was very important for us because Zach was highly recruited. He was a local kid, Olentangy Orange, obviously with tremendous talent and a great culture fit for us. And Larry walks in. He says, "Zach's going to be a Buckeye." He got him on the phone, and he committed, and that was a big deal for us. And he came in highly recruited. But when you look at Zach, he's got long levers. He's really tall, and he's had to grow into the position and grow into his body, and that doesn't just happen. It takes time. And I know everybody wants him to come in and be an All-American as a freshman, but everybody, like you said, has their own journey, and he's been on that journey. And I think he's made a lot of sacrifices. He's worked through some tough times, and you're seeing the best version of him right now.
We're going to go just a few more because we got players starting to come up over here to the right. Justin Holbrook, WCMH.
What did you see from Jordan Hancock, his first game back, especially with Cam Brown out today?
Yeah, I saw a good week of practice and then made a few plays. And he does a really good job of playing the ball, and excited to get that game under his belt so that we can build on that moving forward.
Over to the left, Cameron Teague Robinson, The Athletic.
Ryan, you mentioned calling some timeouts in the red zone. I mean, you guys have been really good in the red zone all year. When you look at this game, do you look at it as like, hey, we still scored even though we kicked those field goals? Or do you look at it like we need to turn those field goals into touchdowns even though we're scoring? Touchdowns.
That's it. That's all we focus on. Now, when we can get field goals, certainly we need to get points, and those are important to get. But, yeah, I'm going to wish we had calls back. We're going to wish we had plays back. But the number one goal is to score touchdowns in a red zone. That's a huge part of our plan to win. We've been good in that in the past. Not as good today.
Over to the right, Clay Hall, WSYX.
Multiple choice. Tommy Eichenberg, who's been a great tackler today. He's a pass catcher. Mm-hmm. Do you need more from the running game as you go forward? That was a concern late in the year last year. How about the run game?
Yeah. Oh, yeah. We'll have to look and see what we did well, but what we need to improve on, and where we need to, tighten up, and kind of evaluate it from there. Certainly the numbers don't look great, but there were some good things, and I think there was a sack, right? So, I mean, that may have affected that, on the fumble. So, again, we'll look at it, assess it, and figure out where it's at. But, we want to be balanced.
But are you not concerned because of so much talent in the receiving?
I don't know if concern is the right thing, but, we're going to have to go back and figure out how we run the ball better. That's for sure. And figure out how we're going to do that. But that's every week. We're going to find out how to throw the ball better. Let's figure out how score points in the red zone better. That's every week. But to say I'm concerned, I wouldn't say that. But we're going to need better play moving forward.
Over to the left, last one on the left, Pat Murphy, 24/7 Sports.
Ryan, you touched on some of the turnovers. Early in the year, you guys weren't getting those. You've now gotten them pretty consecutively. And then obviously the big breakout today. How important is to have that start rolling as you get into this late stretch of the season here?
Yeah, it's very important. And like you said, the challenges are going to get bigger and bigger. And so we need we need balance across the board. We need complementary football. We need special teams. We need everything. We need all of the above. But again, this is a very good team coming in here. They played a team up north really well. It was 20-7 in the fourth quarter. They played Illinois really well. They had the fumble return to go win the game. They called it back, and Illinois kicks the field goal to win the game. Illinois, had a really good year. They played some good teams, and we had a lot of respect for this team coming in, and they played well, especially on defense. And so for us to win like this, it's good, but there's still a lot to improve on and a lot to grow from, like you said.
Last two for Coach. We're going to go Nathan Baird, Cleveland.com, and then Tim May, Letterman Row on 3.
I just wanted to clarify, Jackson came out of the game. It seemed like he was really stretching that leg out. He was talking to medical personnel. So that route was going to be his last route that he ran today. I just wanted to clarify that. And can you talk about, I guess, just were you able to evaluate him enough today as to what you saw from him, how he moved, that sort of thing?
I think so. Yeah, I think we'll be able to evaluate it. We'll watch the film and see. But we had about 20 plays. I think he was right in that range. And once he got to that number and that drive, that was it.
Right. What's it like to have an offense at your disposal that you're trying to crack that safe first half? I know you call plays, but you have this passing game that just revved up in the second half. What is it like calling plays for an offense like this if you follow that rep? Because Iowa impressed me as much on defense today as they have all year. Y'all scored 54. Go ahead.
Well, Tommy scored one of those, so we'll give Tommy credit for that one. But no, I think it all went to the defense and the way the defense put the offense in a great position to score. But it was a strange game that way because there were so many turnovers and we were plus territory, just didn't finish the drives. But I don't know how many times we punted. Looked like we punted 3 times. One was at the end. So kind of strange, when you look at it. We didn't have a lot of drives that started like on the 20-yard line and we moved them across the field. But to answer your question, we have great weapons. We have to continue to figure out ways to find that balance. We got to continue to practice well so that we can execute well because these plays and these matchup games are going to become more and more important. And so the margin for error is going to be tinier and tiny.
But you always feel there's something on that sheet that's going to work eventually. Is that the way you personally go into a game like this? That something on that play sheet's going to work?
Well, I think, it's like if they're taking this away, then they probably are giving up something here. And they certainly were doing a great job stopping the run. So typically, they have to give up something on the perimeter. And I think we found that there in the third, fourth quarter.
Great. Coach, thank you very much.
Okay, thank you.
All right, folks, we're going to bring in CJ Stroud at the main podium. I'm going to put at the back tables Tanner McCalister, Emeka Egbuka, Zach Harrison. We'll open up questions for CJ, front row, Tim May, Letterman row on 3.
CJ, it seemed like a rough start for you guys offensively from a continuity standpoint, but once you got it going. The seam route to Emeka really kind of turned it on. Just what's your recollection of all that? And when you got hot, what did it feel like out there?
Yeah, first and foremost, I want to give all glory and praise to my Lord and Savior, Jesus Christ. It's amazing just to see our fans coming out in all red and just having fun out there. My brothers playing in front of 104,000 is a blessing. So I just got to start with that. But, the first half was kind of weird. I mean, it's tough starting with the ball at like the 30, 40, you know what I'm saying? And it's hard to build a rhythm right there. First half, we just got to execute better. It's good to get that under our belt, though, man, because, the second half of the season is very tough. And you can have games like that where you're not really clicking early on and you got to get it going. So once we got it going, I feel like we became the dynamic offense that we know. I just felt like we were back. You know what I'm saying? We got our little swagger back and felt like we were just clicking again. So, you only take 3-4 bad plays out of the first half and then my interception, which I count as a bad play. You take those plays away. At the end of the day, I think we had a decent day. Iowa's defense is really good, though.
Over to the left, Bill Rabinowitz, Columbus Dispatch.
Hey, CJ. How good will it be down the stretch for you to have faced a defense like Iowa's?
It's good, especially coming off a bye week. hard to go against a veteran defense straight out of a bye. Just getting that rust off from that rest that you get, and then not playing in a week and a half is kind of tough. So it felt good to be back out there again, and we got a lot of good looks from them on them playing physical. And I think up front they did a really good job. Of course, we got to clean some things up on every single part on my part and my O-line and things like that. So once we do that, man, I feel like we'll be just fine.
Over here to the right, Nathan Baird, Cleveland.com.
I'd asked you earlier in the week about just kind of what you expected from Iowa's coverages today. What did you end up seeing? Was it different than what you had expected, different than you had seen before, and how difficult were they to read today?
No, they were running a lot of the things that we thought they were, a little more one high, a little more cover three. But we kind of watched them against a couple other teams that threw the ball a lot, and that's what they were doing. So we anticipated that. And, we were just off a little bit. It wasn't like they were controlling us. I mean, at the end of the day, I think we have a offense to where we can run the ball dynamically and throw the ball. So if we can just get that going better. But like I said, it's tough starting from the plus territory in our terms. So just getting that rhythm, trying to get that first completion is kind of hard because it's so tight down there, you know what I mean? So, and they did a good job. Veteran D-line, veteran linebackers, DBs did a good job about keeping everything in front of them early on. And once we kind of broke their zones and started stretching them out more, we started playing better.
Over to the left, Bill Landis, Rivals.
CJ, in the course of a game, as you guys are trying to feel out the defense and figure out what's going to work and what's not, how much back and forth is there with players and coaches between drives, during timeouts? Just like what's the process like of finding those answers for you guys?
Yeah, I mean, we Coach Days ask us what we see out there, what kind of leverage the receivers are getting, and with the corners, the safeties, how they're playing. He's asking me what I thought I seen and things like that. So it's constant communication just because we can help them and they can help us. So we're a team at the end of the day, and I definitely think that, it's a recipe for success.
Over to the right here, Clay Hall, WSYX.
Yeah, CJ, the ball you threw to Fleming, is that as good as it gets right there in terms of pinpointing the space it had to get into? And I know you don't rate the receivers, but he came here with as much, acclaim as anybody, right?
Right, yeah. His hard work, I've spoken on before, and his hard work that he's put in, man, the sacrifice he's made to cut off distractions in his life and things like that, it just shows you that it pays off in the long run. And I'm super proud of him, man. He ran a great route on that, a big boy post, and I try to just give him a chance and let him go get it. So I definitely think that's high execution right there, and we got to bottle that up and do that again. I'm super proud of him. Marvin played his ass off. Of course, Emeka did as well. Cade, our tight ends. Mitch had a touchdown. Super happy for him. Running backs did well. My O-line did well ultimately. And we gotta just execute better on little things. So once we get that done, I think we'll play a lot better. Nah. I would never tell y'all the name of our play. That's just not smart.
Final two questions over here for CJ. Dylan Davis, Delaware Gazette.
That pick to start the second half, was there a little bit of frustration there? Was that something you tried to force, trying to make something happen there? I guess, what did you see on that play, or what didn't you see on that play?
The look that we had the throw. It wasn't supposed to necessarily go to Julian. I got a little pressure, and I couldn't step into the throw I wanted to make. So I went to my second read, and he came in there. Julian did his job by coming in so far, but I got to remember that it's coverage back there that there's nothing holding him. There's no routes over there. You know what I mean? So I got to just take an L and take the sack or get a couple yards rushing. So, that's me. I just try to make a play happen. You know what I'm saying? And Coach Day and my brothers, they don't ever look at me and second guess me because they know right when we got the ball back again, we went down there and had about 4 dynamic plays. So it's all about this next play and not thinking about the pass.
And final question, Jeremy Birmingham, Rivals.
CJ, do you think that you've earned the right to have super weird, unfair expectations? It seems like most quarterbacks in the country, if they complete 67% of the passes, 300 yards, 3 touchdowns, people would be saying, "Oh, great game." But it seems like for you, the expectations are so high. Is that because do you have that same expectation higher for yourself?
I don't have any expectations. I'm here to win. And that's for the fans. You know what I'm saying? That's like for the supporters. That's for them to marry up and think about all the crazy things that we're supposed to do. This is football, man. Like, Iowa is not coming in here to play, to give us anything. We got to go take it. So, and I think I told y'all that earlier in the week, is like, they're not just going to back up and and just give us what we want with like short passes, they're gonna challenge us, and that's what they did. So credit to them, but credit to our defense as well, man. Like our defense, they played a bus off, and I'm super happy for every single one of them. And I don't really, like I said, I don't have any expectations though. I'm here to win games, and if that means that I don't hold up to what everybody else think, then so be it. But I think I played well. You take away 2 bad throws and maybe 3, and everybody's gonna be different. You know what I'm saying? So you can't ride the highs, you can't ride the lows. You gotta stay steady head and listen to what's in your huddle. You know what I'm saying? So I think that's what I'm on.
Great, CJ. Thank you very much.
Thank you. God bless.
All right, folks, we're gonna bring in Coach Knowles here at the main podium, and I'm gonna send Tommy Eichenberg to the open table in the back, and we will open up the floor here for Coach Knowles. Griffin, raise your hand if you don't mind. Yep, right there. Griffin Strom, 11 Warriors.
Yeah, Coach, the impact of just so many big plays, obviously the 6 turnovers, turning them over on downs as well a few times, I think 5 or 6 sacks, something like that. How much did the defense feed off of those huge plays, especially the first snap of the game for them being that interception by Tanner?
You know, we've just been trained. We had a great week of practice. I thought the guys were fresh, they were fast and opportunistic, and we've been training for this. And that's what I tell them. It's one series at a time, and we expect these good things to happen by the way we've trained and we played. And I think and I know it has a great effect on the whole team, and everybody feels confident when the defense is playing well. And the turnovers, they help a lot, in terms of field position and in winning the ball game.
Over here to the right, Nathan Baird, Cleveland.com.
Zach Harrison's a guy who has, throughout his career, really performed a pretty high baseline of success, if not necessarily that like elite play, however you want to define that. How have you seen him progress over just the time you've been here? Because it seems like he is starting to trend towards something better.
Yeah, from the first time I got to be around Zach, I mean, I knew that in my mind he was an elite player. I mean, he has great speed, tremendous arm length and the ability to lock out blockers, and his pass rush is really, he has some distinct moves that he uses, so I did not look much at last year when I got here. Really just tried to get a feel for the guys as they were. And Zach has been performing, every week on tape, so it's good to see him, starting to get more make more plays and get the recognition, but I think he's elite.
Over here to the right, Bill Rabinowitz, Columbus Dispatch.
Hi, Jim. Obviously, Iowa's offense has struggled, but what did you see today that is most encouraging? What did you like the most from what you saw today?
I liked, again, it continues to me to be our run fits, right? The ability to stop the run comes first. Until that last play with the twos, I thought all of our fits were strong. We're in the right place. We're able to do some things with multiplicity, and guys understand, they know where the ball is going to go, and they show up. So it starts there with the run fits to me. And then I thought some of our disguises were better, some of our reads on routes, as you saw, that resulted in interceptions. So I like the way our back end is getting a feel for the different coverages that we implement.
Over to the right, Austin Ward, Rivals, 97.1 The Fan.
Jim, you've been there for all of Tanner's development. At what point in his career did you feel like more often than not he would be in the right spot like he seemed to be today for a couple key ones?
Yeah, he's always been a very heads-up player, always very coachable in terms of understanding the game plan and the scheme we're going to face. But, I saw him really take off last year in terms of playing with the confidence, because it takes a lot of confidence to do some of the things that he does. And then, the fact that he came here just showed me he wanted to even elevate his game even more. And, and it's great to see him making plays. He understands the scheme, and he knows what to do, and he's talented.
Second row right, Joey Kaufman, Columbus Dispatch.
Jim, what did you make of your corners today? You got Jordan Hancock back for the first time. Cam Brown didn't start. J.K. got the start in his – or Cam was out. J.K. started in his place. But what did you think of those guys?
Yeah, I mean, they looked fine to me. I don't think we got tested very often on, on the edges or downfield. But, they were competing the whole game, and I just think it's good to get Jordan back in. He was really on a pitch count type of thing, where we didn't want to get him too many reps as we bring him back. But I think he changes things and just adds to the competition and gives us a lot more depth. And I think the other guys play a lot freer too when he's around.
Over here to the right, Spencer Holbrook, Letterman Row.
Jim, you guys weren't playing the best offense in the country, but it seems like you guys took care of business, only gave up 3 points. Is there something to be said for a defense to be able to take care of business when you know the opponent doesn't have the best offense? And do you feel like you guys did that today?
Yeah, we don't discriminate. It's whoever you're going up against, that's who you have to stop. So it is definitely a mentality that I've been preaching to the guys, and they're buying in. It doesn't matter what the score is, who we're playing. Are we going to operate with the mentality of going out there and stopping them every time? So, if we're playing with that kind of mentality, and their offense is struggling, you see us rise up. And the time's going to come when we're going to need that mentality when the game is close.
Over here to the right, Cameron Teague Robinson, The Athletic.
Jim, I apologize if you've been asked this, but it seemed like you played 3 linebackers at times, maybe a little more today than you did in the past. Just thoughts on why that was, and then how you thought Cody Simon played as that third linebacker for you guys.
Yeah, I thought Cody did very well. We've been planning for this. We have to morph the defense when it gets into big personnel and multiple tight ends and fullbacks. And, Cody is the guy. He's earned that right by how he's practiced. It was good to see him get a significant role because I think he can add a lot to the defense when we face those kind of teams.
And final questions for Coach Knowles, front row right here. Tim May, Letterman Row on 3.
Hey, Coach Knowles, how did you feel for Tanner McCalister? He follows you from Oklahoma State to here. Obviously, 2 picks today, huge, et cetera. Just, is there a sense also that this defense has sort of developed that identity you want? I mean, you was talking about that a little bit a while ago, that you come in against a team like this, you got to shut them down because everybody else has, so to speak. But go ahead.
Yeah, no, Tanner's like a son to me. These guys, you become very close to these guys. So to see him, take the challenge, right? There's nothing easy about coming to the Ohio State and him, earning and proving himself all over again. And, it's always good to see someone succeed who you care about, and who's put himself on the line. And he's invested a lot in me by coming here. And like you said, the identity, the mentality of getting stops, third down, not giving up explosive plays, getting negative yardage plays, being aggressive. I mean, I think we saw that take a step today. I'm hopeful in terms of the defense continuing to dictate the terms of the game. That's the mentality that we want to have.
Great. Coach, thank you very much.
We see as receivers that we might think have a good chance of, get to the house. Yeah. So one of those plays was the one I scored on. I thought that had a good chance, especially when it ran early in the game. I knew I had it. So when they called it back, it was just great coaching, great play calling, and great execution.
Another quick follow. But do you come back to the sideline and go, hey, you talk to anybody? Hey, let's go back to this one. I mean, y'all have those conversations that something could be that, you know what I mean? That maybe you'll get back to it. Go ahead.
I think that's what makes Coach Day such a great head coach, is that he's always communicating with everyone on the team, the receivers, the quarterbacks, just to know what kind of looks they're getting, know what we can do, can't do. So in that aspect, we're really on the same page with everything, so that when we go out there, we know what we're getting and we know what we can come back to.
Think of a level of frustration at halftime when you ball 4 times in the red zone and don't cash in touchdowns.
There can only be so much frustration. You got to move on. We knew those plays that in the first half were done. There's nothing we can do about them. We came out in the second half with an expectation to execute at a higher level than we did. And I think we did do that. CJ really turned it up. So did the rest of the offense. The blocking got tighter. The routes were crisper, cleaner. Catching was better. So just overall being able to flip that switch is something that we've been working on, and something that can be a great attribute to have.
And how beneficial do you think it'll be to going against the defense that is still fundamentally sound, makes you own everything down the stretch?
Yeah, makes us not press to make plays, makes us not rush, helps us stay on schedule. The run game is key and is something that you have to stick to. So when they're kind of playing deep safeties and not letting you have the deep passes like we're used to, you got to really run it, get the safeties down low and weak. You got to execute on the perimeter. We didn't do an amazing job of blocking on the perimeter as wide receivers today, so that's something we're going to look forward to improving on. But just being able to stay on schedule and not get frustrated and press for big plays.
What kind of information are you guys as players relaying to the coaching staff between drives or during timeouts as you're all trying to kind of find the answer to what you're seeing out there?
Yeah, mostly it's coverages, leverages, and call it for what it is, just skill that we see out there. So if we feel like, there's not really any moments that we don't feel like we have a mismatch. But if we see something sticking out like a sore thumb, we're going to alert the coaching staff, especially when it comes to coverages and leverages.
Are those calm conversations? Like we were just talking about the frustration that can build sometimes when you're trying to figure out, is everyone usually pretty level-headed or can it get contentious, heated, passionate at times?
Yeah, I feel like it's very level-headed, and that's something I'm very appreciative for our coaching staff. Coach Hart, Coach Day, they may blow up over a play, but they flush it down the toilet the next thing, and then they're talking to you on the bench. It's a cool conversation, a calm conversation, something that you're able to relay back and forth and have that dialogue with the coaches. So that's something I'm really grateful for.
What did you see from Jackson today, and did you see any frustration from him that he wasn't able to do more?
He always wants to do more. He loves playing football. That's what makes him such a great player, but he's a great teammate at the same time. So even though he wasn't on the field as much as he had liked, I think it was a good step for him just to be able to get his feet wet again. And he supported us great. He's a great guy to have on your team.
What was that halftime speech like? Just settling for field goals in the first half, wanting to turn those into touchdowns in the second half. Did you say what Coach Day said to you guys at the half?
I wouldn't say Coach Day said too much. It was more the players. I think that's what makes us special in a way, that we have such great leaders on this team who are able to turn around a team like that. We have CJ, all the linemen had a word, so we were able to flip it. And then once we got the play calling from Coach Day, we were good to go.
Did you see anything on film from Iowa's defense that you've seen different today?
Yeah, I would say we expected more cover 4 quarters. They played a lot of cover 3. They played a little bit of man, but kind of saw how that went in the second half. So.
You guys obviously are at the start of this second half push. There's obviously going to be challenges. Next week at Penn State. I know you haven't gone, but I'm sure you've heard about. What are you guys expecting going forward with that game and just kind of the second half push?
Yeah, all our minds are focused on Penn State right now. We have a feeling this is going to be our hardest game of the season. And just playing in Happy Valley, that's a place that's traditionally known to be a hard game to win. No matter what their rank is at the time, there's always going to be a battle. So playing on the road is definitely different than playing at home. So we're gonna have a good week of practice. We're gonna prepare and execute the plays the right way and be able to go over there and take the dub.
Like Ryan said, sometimes it's hard, especially that first half, and you guys are playing in plus territory so much. It's hard to get into a rhythm because your first 20 or so plays are scripted for long drives. Do you feel like maybe it was hard for you guys to get in a rhythm because you were playing on plus territory the whole time, whole verse up?
I would say playing in that area, we have so many playmakers that we just know we want to make the big play right away, and that's not always the way that it works out. So we have to be able to run the ball and stay consistent in that aspect. I can't remember where I saw it, but I saw a stat that if you get 3 yards on the first play of a drive, you have like a super high chance of scoring a touchdown and stuff like that. So just being able to stay on schedule in that aspect and run the ball with discipline is something huge that we're focusing on.
You guys were in the red zone a lot. You scored all those times, just weren't all touchdowns. Ryan said you're happy to get points, but you want touchdowns, not field goals. What do you have to do to tighten that up?
It just comes down to execution. Every 10 players can do their job on a play, but if one doesn't, then the play can be ruined. So just firing on all cylinders in all phases of the game is something that's really big, and staying on schedule and having trust in the players that are next to you.
Do you feel that the extra time off is what got you started?
I wouldn't say so. The guys did a good job of taking care of their bodies. Even in the bye week, we had 3 practices. They were good practices. We came back Tuesday, Wednesday, had great practices as well. So, games don't always start out the way you expect them to, but battling that adversity is something that we feel like we've trained for. So you can't say too much about the slow start, but just happy we picked it up. So that was our main thing. But at the end of the day, we had what we feel as the offense was probably our worst game of the year, and we won by 44 points. So just being able to build on this definitely sets up the future for what looks scary for the teams.
I'm sure you're describing it in a way that reminds me of what I'm saying. You guys are frustrated, but also maybe know how good it can be. It did become in this game. How will you react to that? How did you guys react to that maybe in the locker room afterwards?
Yeah, we just got it going. We realized this is like who we are, how we play, and the only thing I was counting on is us to be off our game. So we just really took hold of the pains and at halftime and came out the second half. Had a little trouble on the first drive, but then got right back locked in, and you guys saw what happened.
Going off that, what can you say about CJ's resiliency? We saw the pick six against Michigan State, bounced back, didn't really have a bad play after that. Second half interception, then he goes 7 for 7, 3 touchdowns. What do you see from him in the huddle when he comes back from maybe a play that he wanted back?
Yeah, I feel like one of CJ's best attributes is his mental fortitude. Like nothing really gets to him. Like sure, he's upset that he threw that pick, and he had a moment for a second, but then he got right back like it never happened, and then like you said, he went 7 for 7. So just being able to bounce back like that is something I've never seen personally from a player. That's something that I struggled with. I know a lot of guys struggled with in the past, but CJ is just he's in the league of his own in that aspect.
Walk me through that touchdown over the shoulder throw, end zone. It seemed like it was just the perfect spot for it.
Yeah, we had called that play earlier in the game. On the other side of the field in the red zone, but I didn't run the full route, so I told the coaches that. They were very responsive. They knew that I might have that look coming again, so we ran in and ended up being a touchdown, perfect pass by CJ.
Was Jackson frustrated at all with it? I'm sure he wanted to play more than he got to today, and we'll figure out exactly what that means later on. But what was he like on the sideline after that?
Yeah, I mean Jackson is a great teammate, so even if he's not playing, he's going to support all of us. But that competitor in him, he wants to play. Obviously, you can see it in his eyes. So just knowing how much of a competitive person he is, and that mixed with his elite skill set, it's going to be really fun to have him back. So just praying for a speedy recovery for him. He's looking good strength-wise, range of motion-wise, so just getting him ready to play in the next game.
Emeka, is it kind of unfair what people expect out of CJ? I mean, if you look around the country, most places would love to have a quarterback who completes 67% of his passes for 300 yards, 3 touchdowns, but yet the narrative is sort of that he had a rough day, right?
Yeah.
Is it fair what people expect from him, or is that just kind of what he's earned?
I would say the way I would put it is that CJ expects even more out of himself. So he has super high expectations. That's what makes him so great. He's a perfectionist, and he's always been that way. So no matter what the expectations people have for him, he's always going to hold himself to a higher standard. So he knows what type of day he had, and I still personally think he's a front runner for the Heisman. I don't see a guy topping him, but CJ is just a one-of-a-kind player.
What does it say about him and the confidence he has? He throws the interception in the second half. The ball that he threw to you down the seam was a risky throw. I mean, he had to drop that perfectly, and he did. What does it say about just the mindset that he has?
To be able to play with that kind of confidence, that's another special attribute that he has, and it makes a quarterback really dangerous. A lot of guys don't make that throw like he made to me in that scene, but he did, and he placed it perfectly. So that's just a testament to him and his work ethic and just his mental aspect of the game.
How do you see that? Because you almost got your head knocked off on that play, and then you stopped on a dime. How do you see that?
I knew what coverage they were in. I knew it was 3, and normally he's gonna open to the speed side where the slot is, and I was playing slot at the time. So when I got down the seam, I knew there'd be a little shot in there that CJ was going to rip, because I just know the type of quarterback he is and the chemistry he has. So I was expecting that ball, and out of the corner of my eye, I seen the safety running down on me. Yeah, so I stopped. Thought I was going to spin out of it. Still a little mad about that one.
I wouldn't say easy. I mean, anytime as a defensive player you get your hands on the ball, I mean, like I said earlier, you gotta
you got to have kind of a knack for the ball. If you're always around the ball, that's kind of a tell. Somebody's playing good football. So they definitely haven't been the toughest interceptions. But yeah, I'm blessed to be in the right spot right now.
Yeah, when they come that way, I mean, obviously it's your job to be in the right spot, and it's Coach Knowles' job to go to defense. So I guess it's collaborative. Yeah, that's just sort of the way this game works.
Yeah, most definitely. Like I said, with disguising. So on that play, I'm disguising like I'm man on number 2. He thinks I'm guarding 2 man. So when 2 goes away, he thinks I'm going to follow. So instead, I'm going to the flat, jumping number 1. So just little stuff like that. Guys are starting to pick up on our defense, and we're able to keep some things, able to disguise some things, and still still blitzes. They're not picking up certain blitzes. So, I mean, that's kind of how the defense is built.
You guys didn't get the full road game experience at Michigan State. Their people pulled up and left at halftime.
Yeah.
It's not going to be like that next week. 110,000 people over there. Just what do you think that atmosphere is going to be like next week?
I'm excited, to be honest. Even when we went down there, it was kind of hostile to us coming out for warm up. They're doing their F Ohio thing, So I mean, just stuff like that kind of gets us like, okay, it's that type of game. So it kind of gets us excited. So I'm excited to see how hostile this environment is. And, I think if we come prepared, we prepare this week. I think if we come as the Buckeyes we've been playing, like we'll be fine. But, I'm pretty excited to see how hostile the environment is. Definitely. Sometimes I mean, some situations is like, man, why did you throw that? That one really wasn't one. I don't think he saw me. The line was blocking for him. But when you, as a defensive player, anytime you just see the ball come right at you, it's kind of like, okay, so you make a play and try to get as much yards as you can. But yeah, definitely kind of get you off guard a little bit.
Was that the case with both of them? Or either one of those?
Yeah,
like, schemed up right.
Nah, they both definitely were kind of like. It's because both of them seemed like they were coming right at me, especially the first one. It was coming right at me. I was in the throwing window. That one kind of caught me off guard. The second one, just seeing the tip, it kind of caught me off guard as well. But like I said, being in the right spot at the right time and being around the ball for any D.
What does that do for your confidence and the whole defenses when you make a play like that on the very first play?
Yeah, I'm obviously confidence goes up, especially first play of the game. The crowd's very excited for the game after the kickoff. So, just being able to get that turnover, being able to get the crowd into it early, that's huge. I think that kind of sells the game, especially on the defensive end, because now we know that they're kind of rattled. We know that they're not as confident now coming back out after they just got a turnover in the first play of the game. So, it gives us confidence.
Yeah, when you have a ball coming straight to you, and you're going, is your mind going a mile a minute? Like, hey, what am I missing here? Is somebody fixed the flash in front of me?
Right.
How do you play that? You know what I mean, in your head?
Yeah, kind of when sometimes sometimes you think somebody might come because that's not, the ball's not supposed to be going to you. So I mean, it's different, but the most important thing, like you said, is catching the ball. So when I see it coming, I mean, my biggest thing is, man, grab it. So
it's postgame now. These guys were last in the country in total. 238.8 was your average. Y'all held them well below that.
Right.
But was this a game where y'all knew you had to come out and you know what I mean, kind of prove yourself?
Yeah.
From a stranglehold kind of situation.
Most definitely. We were obviously aware that statistically their offense wasn't that talented, but they got some talented guys on their offense, talented tight ends. Quarterbacks aren't bad. Our line is really good, and they have a really good run game. So we knew that they wanted to be physical with us. So as a defense, we want to show we're tough. So coming in, it was kind of like, man, let's try to show that we tough. We can get down and dirty, and we can also make plays, in the back end. So I feel like we did that. But yeah, definitely coming in, we wanted to, just kind of re-identify ourselves coming off about we really. So I mean, I think we did that.
Yeah, and you identified yourself now as what? How can you put that in?
I'd probably just say basically we want to show every week that we're tough. I mean, we're a tough defense. It's not easy to get points on us. It's not easy to get yards on us. If it's 3rd and 1, we're going to defend that one. We're not going to let you get the 1 yard. You know what I mean? So I think offensive coordinators, offenses are really going to have to fight for everything against our defense. And that's what we plan to prove every week.
Go for it. But y'all had 3 linebackers in the field a lot today.
Yeah.
That's a departure.
Yeah. So that's kind of their game going into the game. When we knew they like to use tight ends and fullbacks and kind of old school offense. So Maybe you take a DB off the field, which I came off. I think Cody was it. Yeah, Cody was one of the linebackers that was coming in. So I mean, anything we got to do to stop the run, get some bigger bodies in there. So I mean, I think it worked today. So. But yeah, that was cool just to be able to get more guys in, more guys playing. I think kind of showing some different packages for our defense. I think that was cool today.
You played? I mean, seriously?
Most definitely. I mean, I'm coming from the Big 12, so anytime I see a fullback, it's kind of rare. So we knew I was going to come in and run the I formation. They have fullbacks, they have 3 tight ends at the same time, and we brought in different packages. So Cody Simon was getting in there. Some of our bigger packages. So, it was definitely a different offense, kind of an old school offense, I would say. But I mean, I think we did a good job stopping them and stopping what they wanted to do today.
Was there? So when you got here, did you expect that you'd have 2 interceptions in one game?
I mean, you always hope for things like that, but I wouldn't say I expected it. I just think. If I continue to prepare each week, and like I said, Coach Eliano, he's a great position coach. Coach Knowles obviously is a good defensive coordinator, puts us in the right situation. So if it's my time to make a play, and I'm in the right spot at the right time, it's my job to make the play. So catching the ball, I mean, it sounds simple, but as a defensive player, you don't do that a lot. So you got to make the play when your number's called, and I think I did that today.
Real quick. Right before your second interception, you made a call. You motioned something. Did you recognize something there?
Yep, I think I want to say they went empty, and that's what I noticed. I think they went empty. I can't remember, but I was talking to Rocket because the second pick wasn't really my job. I just kind of had vision to the quarterback and was able to break on it. So I figured they were going to do something short. Just they had brought in a new quarterback just to. Kind of get him warmed up. So
I give you credit. I thought you called it.
Yeah, I didn't call that one. Nah. So I broke on it. Rocky did a good job covering that tight end. They tipped it in the air and fell in my hands. So yeah, it was just a little bit of luck, a little bit of being around the ball. So.
Talk about game-changing plays. Zach Harrison made a bunch of impact plays today. What have you seen from him as a leader on this team?
Yeah, he's great, really. He leads that defense, leads that D-line. It's all about day to day. He's pressuring the quarterback and also runs too. So he helps out everyone, makes everyone's job easier.
You're really that bored about scoring the touchdown?
Yeah. He has some stuff I did.
Did you expect 40 or something? Did you expect it to be that easy? You had to cut back, but the ball kind of came right to you.
Yeah, no, I didn't. But that's just the way football goes. So.
Iowa had 158 yards and scored 3 points on offense today. It's not a shutout, but is it as close as you would hope? And you guys feel that you lived up to what you wanted to do today?
Yeah, I mean, our goal is always 0 points, so 3 is too many. So, yeah, we'll try to do better next week.
What do you think of that?
Man, he's awesome. I love that dude.
I was asking Jim Knowles about what he likes about you at that Mike linebacker spot. I want to ask you, kind of give a scouting report on yourself. What about you makes you a perfect fit as a Mike linebacker?
I'm not really sure. I should probably say just everyone else. He's a perfect fit. They just make my job. He's here, they're great. I mean, I wouldn't want to put up anyone else.
A lot of green linebacker looks today. Right. Anything this season, just what was it that worked in that kind of system? And getting Cody out there with guys as part of that 3-man, what is
That's
that?
good, yeah. It's nice having more backers in the game versus run team. So that's part of the game plan. So.
What does Cody's game do to that, though, when you get him alongside you?
Right. Yeah, I love playing with Cody. Love playing with Steele. But it's nice. Have another linebacker out there, too. And EA was in, too. So.
I know Cody was hurt a little bit last year, but you, Steele, and Cody have now played together for a lot of snaps.
Right.
Do you feel most comfortable when both of those guys are on the field? It seems like when you three are out there together, the defense seems to be hungry.
Yeah, it's I've been through a lot with those guys, so we know each other really well and play together well too.
For you three specifically, you've seen the not so good of what the defense looks like, and now you've seen what it looks like now.
lack of a better term, how cool is it to see how far you guys have come? I know you still have to say you have a lot further to go.
Yeah, we've been through a lot, but we still got a long way to go. We know we're close to where we want to be. So.
Tommy, were you one of the ones who made fun of Steel Chambers after that interception a couple weeks ago when the quarterback
got him?
Yeah, and
I probably did.
And how sweet was the move you put on at like the 5-yard line after your pick?
Oh yeah, I mean I probably did make fun of Steel. Yeah, my roommate. But yeah, it was I don't know, just.
Was it instinctive? I mean, take us
to
that play,
I guess
man.
so. Yeah, I just caught it and saw it going left, so I was like, I'll just go right.
Did this defense? This team was averaging 238 yards a game coming up filling out, and y'all held them well below that average. How important was it to you guys today to make that kind of statement? In other words, they weren't very good, and y'all proved that. You know what I mean?
Right. Yeah, I think it's important. It's important for us. It doesn't matter who you play. It's about us. It's our job.
Tommy, was that your first pick six ever?
It was. Yep. First one ever.
Obviously, in college, even going back to high school, did you ever have any pick sixes?
I don't think so. No.
Really?
Never. Yeah.
What did you see on that play?
Just the ball just came to me. So, yeah.
Were you? That's what Tanner said.
Were you shocked that it came to you like that, or did you? Because sometimes like interceptions just kind of happen. Was that something where like it was a great scheme to play and you're right where you need to be, versus like you just happen to look up and the ball's flying towards you?
I don't really know. I gotta watch the replay, but I don't know. It just came to me.
What showed up running back?
Yeah.
What is the confidence right now with these calls that Jim Knowles is making? And can you explain to people who don't understand that about him putting y'all in the positions to make these plays? What's that like? What's that feeling like for you?
It's good. It's just a lot of
confidence,
a lot of trust, but it's also confidence, and everyone has confidence, and we all got confidence in each other.
Yeah. And have you ever dreamed of a pick six, or do you allow yourself to dream those kind of dreams?
I probably have. Yeah, it's a nice play to make. So.
Yeah. Tommy, how have you seen Zach Harrison grow this year?
By you?
Yeah.
The recruiting story. Do you remember that?
I do.
That's a little gutsy at that time to point something like that.
It's the truth, though. I didn't think anything of it. Like, to this day, it's the truth. If you eat a Buckeye, you would die.
Zach, you seemed like you.
Too.
Zach, you seemed like you had a ton of energy coming out there today, just kind of waving up the crowd, all that. Did you feel that today? Like you had an extra juice today?
I don't know about extra, but I just feel like I pride myself on bringing juice to the guys and just having energy. And we feed off each other, so it's not just me. It's just all 11 of us on defense. One of us makes a play, and it's like we won the Super Bowl. That's what it feels like every time. We're just celebrating so much. And when it comes to the crowd, just getting them in the game, getting them involved, because that's definitely a game changer. Like, shout out to Buckeye Nation too, because they were rocking, especially when we were having backed up on the end zone. Just sometimes it takes a little bit. Just be like, yo, get up, like let them know that no, we need y'all, and they love it. So, shout out Buckeye Nation. For,
Ryan Day said he thinks you're playing your best football right now. Do you feel like today is as well as you've played in your career?
I don't know my career, but I definitely played well today. Just got to keep stacking days, got to keep practicing well, and just keep improving.
I know you weren't here when these two teams played last time. Fans obviously were talking a lot this week about the last time this game was played. Did you guys talk about that at all this week?
A little bit, just to know what happened and know the mistakes that team made, and just to give Iowa credit. They're a good team, despite what their record is, other things like that. Just we can't come in here and expect them just to roll over and just beat them. Because if we did that, the result was going to be like it was from last time we played them. So just to take every team super seriously.
Typically, they have a pretty solid offensive line. What about the way they played today enabled you guys to be so successful?
And just fundamentals and technique. That's what Coach Jay preached. Just make sure you stay in your toolbox, and if you do that, we're going to have a lot of success. And I feel like that's what we did. We made it a key point, to work our moves and use the stuff that we've been practicing all week, and we got good results from it.
Coach Day always talks about every player has their own personal journey. Yours is pretty interesting in terms of local guy. There's always more pressure. How long did it take you to get through that, if it took you at all, to be the expectations of the 4-star guy to be immediately impact guy, and how comfortable are you with it now, where you are, where your journey is?
I'd say it took a little while. Obviously coming in, seeing guys like Chase and Devon and doing what they did, it's like, all right, well, I'm doing that next year.
doesn't happen the way you dream it does sometimes. So, you know, you just got to keep working and keep grinding, put one foot in front of the other, and, you know, let the chips fall where they may.
You're there now, though? I mean, in terms of you put it
No,
behind you?
I'm not there anywhere. Like, I haven't arrived anywhere. I still got, you know, plenty of improvement to make, but I feel like I'm definitely taking steps towards the right direction.
What's it like when you start to make those plays, those impact plays that change a game?
Yeah. It's just fun, you know. Like, football is fun when you're making plays, so I just feel like I'm just having fun and providing energy to the defense and, you know, coming to the sideline juiced up and not just me making those plays, it's other guys making plays, you know. I talked to Lathan about that strip sack, and he said we had actually watched it film together earlier this week, and he had told me this is going to happen. I was like, oh, okay. So I know, like, I'm going to go get a rush, and he had stopped the slant they ran, gave me an extra second, and I got the sack. So, you know, things like that, just bringing energy and playing together.
Spoken into existence there.
Yeah, for sure.
Zach, the saying is that good defenses take care of business against bad offenses. Do you guys feel confident right now? If you see a bad offense, you're going to be able to shut them down? It seems like you guys did a really good job of that too.
Our goal is to shut down every offense. So regardless of, you know, what they come in, you know, Coach Knowles' mentality is, you know, nobody scores on us. And that's the mentality that we've kind of adopted in NFL. We feel that, you know, we can win games on defense, and, you know, we take pride in that. And especially having an offense that we do with the playmakers and the quarterback and the running back and the O-line, I feel like, you know, we can really do something special this year.
Do you guys feel like, would you chalk this up as almost a shutout, considering that the touchdown came from Iowa's defense and they only got the field goal?
No, they got a field goal.
All right, so you're not satisfied still?
I mean, nah, a shutout, we want a shutout. We want a goose egg on the scoreboard. Regardless of how it happens, we got to get a goose egg on the scoreboard. So, no, it wasn't a shutout. But we definitely played really well.
Think you're going to be able to get one in the next 5 games?
Hopefully. I mean, yeah.
As good as Iowa, I mean, as good as the offense has played all year, I mean, a lot of your games, it's been, you know, Ohio State, you know, you guys score a lot of points and you kind of pull away. Did it feel good today to kind of have the defense lead the way to a big win?
I mean, no, like I've always said, after that Notre Dame game, we realized we could win games on defense, and that's always the mentality. I mean, of course, it helps when we're scoring every drive, and that's 21-0 in the first half, the first quarter. It definitely helps, but regardless of what the offense does, our mentality doesn't change. Like, they don't score.